Hi everybody, it's October 20th, 2025. Being somewhere or with somebody or having a certain job has the proclivity to give us an identity. And sometimes we feel like the identity that we currently have or that we're working towards is so important. It's so vital to us being successful, even spiritually. This identity that we have that's attached to something that is changing, that is attached to something that is vulnerable, we don't honestly look at the instability of it. We just live on with it and hope that it continues to stand up. And so what happens when this identity that we have crumbles and gets blown away by the wind, it tosses us around and it tosses us to the ground, and we sustain emotional injuries when this happens. So identity that is grounded in things of this world will leave you. And they may come back and they may become better and they may become worse, but the nature of this realm is that things change, even core things change. So my topic would be that what do we do when we become the foreigner? When we become the foreigner to other people and to institutions and in social aspects and maybe even spiritual aspects. What do we do when we become the foreigner? And what I mean becoming the foreigner is like, maybe you are, let's say you're in your family, and then by certain circumstances, maybe you come down with a mental illness. Maybe you develop a bad habit. Maybe you harm somebody emotionally or maybe even physically, not by purpose, but just by the nature of happenstance. And so suddenly you become a foreigner to your family. And your family is the core of who you are as a person, because that is your native land. Your family is your native land. That's your native upbringing. And so when you become a foreigner to your family, the pain that goes along with that is almost the deepest pain that you could ever feel. And some people do not make it for a long time to be able to stand again and to withstand the currents of life. And so when you become a foreigner to your family, maybe of no wrongdoing, and even if you had done wrong, we are all humans that make mistakes. When you become a foreigner to your family, the best action to take is to come to an understanding of who you really are, as deep as you can see yourself, as superficial as you can see yourself. Just get a total global look at who you are. And then once you could kind of understand where you're coming from and what your basic drivers are, what your basic needs are, what your aspirations are, and what your past is, then you can make changes to if you can't get accepted by your family immediately, make changes and justify what you do with good intent. Because at this point of being a foreigner, you basically feel like you have nobody else. So the most wise thing to do would be to turn to God. And first you will turn to God because you want him to save you from the suffering. And if you keep on with him, it will turn into something less on the nose. It will become, because I want to see more. I want to see more of his life and see how better it could get. And then it will keep on evolving. Your relationship will keep on evolving with God to go deeper and deeper and to lead you into more beneficial, more fruitful experiences. And so once you are on this walk of life with God, you are no longer a foreigner, because God is your true family. God is your true social construct. God is everything. And once you start realizing more and more that God's hands and fingers are in all aspects of your life, even the pain, even the happiness. You don't feel as a foreigner anymore, and you become native to God. And if you are native to God, you are native anywhere else in this world. And you will see miracles happen. Your family will accept you again. Your friends will accept you again. They will understand you. Your family will forgive you. Your family will laden you with gifts of homecoming. And so that is the most important. Your family is the most important home that you have. And sometimes we aren't as directly blessed as to have our family. Some of us go on with life never having a family or having lost our family for good. But there's always going to be respite. There's always going to be a reckoning where you get a family where you lost one. And you may find your family in the oddest spaces. Maybe at the end of the world, in the ends of the earth, not necessarily time, but like as a spiritual location. At the end of the earth, you may find your family, and it may be the sweetest thing you ever felt in your life. And so when you become a foreigner, maybe to peers are more fluid. You will lose friends, gain friends. But if you have a friend or friends that you really were attached to and you lose them, or they lost respect for you for some reason, maybe valid or not, and you want them back, it will be obvious to say work on yourself, but that's not exactly the key. The key is to busy yourself with your life, with your core attributes, your core missions in life, and just go on, because friends come back at the oddest times. You may not speak to somebody for 10 years and they may call you, and like you see on the internet, it's almost no time has passed between you, and maybe ill feelings just faded away and they gave way to longing to be with you again. Your friends want to be with you again. This happens with friends. The friendships are not as static and as common behaving as you would think. So when you become a foreigner to friends, do not fret, because friends come back, and new friends come and replace old friends, sometimes even better. So becoming a foreigner is one of the spiritual journeys that you should feel lucky to have, because as a foreigner, your travels become more adventurous. Your travels become more eye-opening, and they become more deeply appreciated by you. On these foreigner voyages, it's almost like you're embarking on a spiritual path to truth, to the truth of your life. And this is what needs to happen sometimes. Sometimes you need to be detached from your normal attachments so that you can experience life more fully. Because it's almost like, those people that you see on the internet, or maybe your friends that travel to different countries all the time and fly around the globe and go to beaches and secluded spaces and go to coffee shops in Paris and stuff like that. That's the equivalent of becoming a foreigner in your life. That's the equivalent of traveling spiritually, is picking up and traveling to different spots where you are accepted, where you can learn and where you can grow and heal. So if you ever have this detachment of being a foreigner, don't consider yourself condemned and tossed aside. Consider it as the beginning of a life of eye-opening experiences, as a life of being gifted with the strength to be able to travel spiritually to destinations that you never thought you would reach. So I hope this helps. Thanks.